Yo, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Coming back with, probably the most obvious video that I could do right now. It's strangely enough, this hasn't really been covered that much on British media. This is, I kind of didn't know. Yeah, let me just take these back so you know what I'm on about. Yeah, I kind of didn't know which video to pick. Obviously, there's a lot of different news sources here. I just went with ITV, kind of just because it's the longest one, and it looks like there's some actual footage there. But if you want me to react to like another station doing it, that's not a problem. But I know very little about what's happening, so we're gonna get straight into it. I know they've stormed the Capitol building, obviously, but other than that, I don't really know much. So we're gonna find out now.
For 4 years we have witnessed turmoil in America, but nothing quite like this. The pro-Trump crowd fought with the police, trying to break through their lines, intoxicated by the unlikely prospect of reversing America's election outcome. We watched as the standoff continued for at least an hour. Tear gas canisters were fired from the very stage on which Joe Biden will be inaugurated.
It's disgusting. I mean, it's sad to see. Obviously, I guess I don't know. For those of you that don't know, I'd probably side on the side of the Conservatives. But when you see people like this, which are supposedly have spent 4 years chanting on about free speech this and free speech that, and then go ahead and try to reverse democracy, it's maybe there's more to it, but that's just what I've gathered so far. It's hard to see.
But for Capitol Hill police officers, this was a losing battle.
This is exactly what was feared, but in no way is this a surprise. It has been fueled by the president's rhetoric, and it's increasingly clear this election has not healed the wounds. It has simply amplified them.
We followed the aggrieved and infuriated Trump supporters as they stormed the building.
I swear to CNN, and they just said these guys.
Through broken windows and doors they had forced open. And for a few heady moments they felt they had won a precious victory.
I don't get it. There's so much irony here. Like, chanting USA, you would imply is a patriotic thing, and one of the most patriotic things is free speech. This isn't free speech, by the way, in my opinion. This isn't what I'd consider. This is a call for action and a call for violence, which doesn't come under free speech. This is, it's like shouting fire in a crowded building. Do you know what I mean? It's.
They had won a precious victory.
So these have obviously been influenced by President Trump's words about the election being rigged. Look, I've said this before. I don't know if the election was rigged. I side more on the side of it hasn't been rigged because I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, and I wouldn't expect any of these to know. Do you know what I mean? Because President Trump doesn't know. It's hard for me to believe that there is a grand orchestrating scheme that it's very hard because it's the right and the Conservatives. In my personal opinion, the media is biased left. I'll concede that. I think the media is biased to the left, right? But is there an overarching power that the left have, that like this whole movement of global new world order that the left are trying to bring in? Well, from the right's point of view, I don't believe that. I can't believe that. It's too grand. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot for not believing it, but And for these guys to talk about free speech, these guys would have been the ones which would have been the first to jump on the Black Lives Matter protests. Now, do I agree with the Black Lives Matter protests? That's a different question entirely. I don't agree with the burning of buildings and the people that were killed, obviously. Do I believe with a person's right to protest? Yes, of course. They should be able to. If that's what they genuinely feel, then they should be go out and allowed to say it. It doesn't mean I agree with it. Of course I agree with Black Lives Matter. The sentiment, not so much the organisation, personally.
We were now in the very heart of the Congressional building.
What's the purpose of storming Congress itself?
Because they work for us. They don't get to steal it from us. They don't get to tell us we didn't see what we saw.
We respect the law. We were good people. The government did this to us. We were normal, good, law-abiding citizens, and you guys did this to us. We want our country back. We are protesting for our freedom right now. That's the difference.
What's the purpose of storming Congress?
How do I know that?
They reached and entered the Speaker's office itself. Although Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers had already been evacuated to safety.
Here you go. Here you go, brother.
As we filmed, protesters tore down Pelosi's nameplate.
And so here we are right now inside the halls of Congress. This is exactly what so many anticipated, and yet the Capitol Hill police are doing their best, but failing to control the situation.
So these people obviously feel robbed. And are quite hell-bent on proving the fact that it was a rigged election and there was fraud. No, don't get me wrong. There was things that happened in the election that were a bit suspicious. But name me an election where things haven't been. There hasn't been some suspicious things. Maybe this one had more than usual. Let's concede that. Was it rigged? I don't know. So again, I've said it before. I side more on no. And it's just hard to admit because I guess these people thought it was a guaranteed win because Trump is so. They see him as such a figurehead and a leader that it's just inconceivable to them that Biden would have won. Maybe. Yeah, let's see what happens.
We all know that they changed the rules mid-game and they're not being held accountable, and that's a shame.
What's your message to the Capitol Hill police and to lawmakers here?
This is our country. This is our house. That's it. This is our house. This is our country. This is our country.
Inside the chamber itself, there was chaos. Agents hastily blocking the doors with furniture to keep the protesters out. Officers ready to open fire as a last resort. In the galleries, people took shelter. The great constitutional showdown in Congress had to be suspended.
Madam Speaker and members of Congress, pursuant to the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
A little earlier, the passions in America's political schism were...
Just a side note, what's your guys' opinions on Mike Pence? To be 100% honest, I don't know much about him. So I'm not really going to speak on it, but, let me know what you guys think, I guess.
...were on display as Trump loyalists acted to stop the certification.
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
But I would urge to both sides perhaps a bit less certitude and a bit more recognition that we are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis.
But the plea to suspend certification of the election was fiercely contested by the leader of the Senate, who broke definitively with Trump.
This election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral.
True.
We'd never see the whole nation accept an election again.
100 miles away.
That's a... What the fuck just happened? I don't know what just happened. Sorry, guys. That is a good point what he made. You know, if... Sorry, let me just try to get back up to that bit. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, as he said, you know, if you start overturning elections every time because of allegations, then as I guess, let's just say I'm American because I'm a conservative, let's just assume I'm Republican, although, I don't know. I would not then accept the next time a Democrat leader won, because I could just pull the whole allegation thing, and if they overturned it and Trump did win, then you could not blame the Democrats for then saying, well, hold on. Well, that's not fair, is it? It's such a hard line to draw, and I'm trying to stay neutral, but I think it's hard for me to not condone the storming of the Capitol building. Whether I'd go as far as to call it terrorism, I don't know. By definition, it probably does fit into there. You know, it's destruction and violence motivated by, a political movement. Technically, is terrorism. But is it the expression of free speech? That's a question that you could run around the bushes with. But I don't know, man. It's hard because as much as there was protests and rioting and looting when Trump won, it settled down. So is it? It shouldn't really be a matter of causing violence and destruction when a leader wins. I guess it's just because I don't know whether to blame the media and say it's just because how polarized people are now on the political spectrum. Maybe that's a conversation worth having. Back in the early 2000s, where, from what I can remember, looking backwards, it was a lot more centrist, and now we've kind of went like this. That it's a lot more. It's more fuel to the flame when you lose. I don't know.
100 miles away in Delaware, President-elect Joe Biden pleaded for the intervention of the one man who could halt this.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege, to storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection.
Indeed, amid the chaos of this afternoon, shots were fired, and one protester badly wounded.
That's
the
disgusting.
Circumstances are not clear, but it is proof of how perilous it remains here tonight.
It's so weird because sides, despite what you think, yes, it's disgusting, yes, it's anarchy. We all know in our heart of hearts, sides love it when the other ones do stuff like this. They love it. If the Trump supporters all say how biased the media is, then they would have known the media would have jumped on this and called them whatever, and they would have pointed out the fact that the vast majority of people there were white, and they would have pointed out the fact that, you don't actually care about free speech. The same and back when the protests were happening in the summer, the whole BLM, the right were loving it because we're like, look at you, you're just anarchists, you're just lunatics, you just want a chance to loot and burn. It's fuel to the fire, isn't it? It's, man, one hell of an election year.
This morning, the president spoke to the crowd in front of the White House, repeating his false claim that the election was stolen.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's...
So wrong. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, but a few videos ago you were laughing at him saying how funny he is. Yes, I do think he's funny. Right, just to clear that up. I do think he can be funny. Right, but I'll also call out when I don't think it's right. And to add fuel to the flame, especially when all that's going on, is terrible. It's very bad, excuse me, sorry. There's at the end of the day, no matter how suspicious something looks, they are still allegations. I've yet to see any proof come out, any nailed-on proof that, yes, there was someone saying that, that the supervisors couldn't supervise that close and they had to stand over there and there were people filling in with pens and paper. Yeah, I get that. But I want to see some nailed-on proof that a significant amount of votes were switched or just brought up. And I know they were saying that Biden has had people that have already passed away voted for him. Yes, that should all be taken into account. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's such a hard one because no matter what I say, someone's going to be mad. There's just so many things to take into account, but that right there isn't helpful. That's what I'm trying to say.
By the fake news media, that's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
The cost of that rhetoric is increasingly clear. As crowds tonight are still swirling around Congress. And America's long journey as a stable democracy appears to be in genuine doubt.
I hate when the media does that. You just I know that. You know what the thing is as well? I'm going to touch upon just about the media. Now, a lot of people would say, you can't trust ITV. Well, probably not so much Americans, but English people say you can't trust ITV because it's so left-wing. Yes, it is left-wing, but this isn't actors. This is footage. This happened. Yes, and they caught it. Tell what you want of the narrative, whatever. This happened. So you can't really deny it. It's such a hard one. I mean, I could sit here and talk and, no one really gives a shit what I think at the end of the day. I'm an English YouTuber, so what the fuck do I care? What the fuck do I matter? I mean, but definitely let me know what you guys think. I hope I didn't piss anyone off with what I said. I'm just being honest with what I think, and that's probably why you come here. What's your solution? What do you think of them? It'd be interesting, and if anyone is in support of this, I'd like to hear off them. But please don't jump on them in the comments talking about you're a terrorist and you this and that, and this should happen. I just want to hear their opinion, man. So let's try to keep it civil. I know with shit like this, you're asking a lot when you try to keep it civil, but we'll see what we get, man. Yeah, and let me know if you want to see more. If anything develops, I'll keep reacting to them, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, it means the most, man. I'd love to get to 6,000. That's just me, though. But yeah, peace out, man. Talk to me in the comments. Catch you soon.